I want to share a secret with you. The secret to a successful life. Purposefully focusing on this can have a major impact on your mood, success, and so much more. Welcome to the Stay at Home Nurse Podcast. I'm your host, Deanna Cooper Gillingham. For over 25 years, I've strived to use my nurse credentials to find work that fit my lifestyle. Whether it was raising my 4 children and 3 fur babies, traveling the world, or moving to Mexico and living on the Caribbean Sea. Sometimes I succeeded and sometimes I failed, but I always learned from the experience. Now, I want to help you by sharing what worked and what didn't work. There are so many opportunities out there for nurses today. The Stay at Home Nurse Podcast will inspire and equip you to have a nursing career that is meaningful and supports your lifestyle. Now let's get started. Hello and welcome to this week's episode. If you are listening on the day it comes out, it is my 53rd birthday, so happy birthday to me. Today, I want to share with you, I want to give you a gift. I want to give you the gift of a successful life. So here we go. Your mom was right. Who you hang around makes a difference. Motivational speaker and author Jim Rohn says, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I remember the first time I heard this quote. I was listening to a podcast while sitting in the waiting room of a prison. Okay, I wasn't there to visit somebody. I had to get my fingerprints taken to get a license, a nursing license, and that was a new requirement that you had to be fingerprinted. But I remember when I heard that, a few minutes later, I was with the sheriff. I was getting my fingerprints taken. We started a conversation, and I remember saying to him, I just heard this quote that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and looking around, I feel sorry for you. This guy didn't stand a chance. He was with prisoners and, let's just say, not the most upstanding members of society for an 8-hour shift. He spent 40 hours a week with these people. All of a sudden, I felt very blessed. But I digress. What I want to talk about today is how we can influence who we are by who we hang around. The first step is to really stop and evaluate where you are now. So, who do you spend the most time with? For most of us, that's our colleagues that we work with and our families. But we also spend time with our friends, clubs and associations we belong to, and other people that we let into our ears and our minds, like the news. Do a little self-audit. In the last week, who have you listened to? Who have you spent time with? I don't just mean in person. Again, watching television, you're spending time with the person who is on the other end of the television. You're letting them influence you. Listening to podcasts, you're letting them influence you. So think about the 5 people who you have let influence you the most over the last week. Then ask yourself, how do you feel after each interaction? Is that person uplifting? Are they positive? Are they encouraging? Do you feel energized or drained after spending time with them? Do you feel encouraged or defeated? Do you feel happy or sad? Do they make you feel like anything is possible or like everything is impossible? Once you've done this little audit, you can look over it and decide who do you need to spend less time with and who do you need to spend more time with. Who's going to get you where you want to go and who's going to hold you back? Now, obviously, if a problem person in your life is your spouse or your child or somebody else very close like that, you can't just get rid of them, but you can make a conscious effort to stop the negative conversations and put boundaries around conversations that you will and will not have. All relationships other than your spouse and minor children are fair game. You can severely limit the amount of time you spend with anybody else on this list. But it's not just about eliminating people that are negative or bad influences. It's also about spending more time with people who give you the right influence, the right feeling, the type of person that you want to be. Is there someone on the list that you want to spend more time with? If you're like that police officer I mentioned earlier, and you have nobody in your sphere that you want to spend more time with, don't worry. I have a solution for you. Remember, you don't have to actually physically be in the same room with this person. And you don't even have to talk to them on the phone. You can be influenced by people in so many other ways. You see, it doesn't have to be a two-way conversation. If someone you want to be around or be part of your 5 is out of reach, you can still be influenced by them. I spend hours each day listening to podcasts. I purposefully chose to listen to podcasts that made me feel uplifted and encouraged. 2 of my favorites were by Pat Flynn and Dan Miller. In fact, listening to Pat Flynn is the blueprint I used to start my business. One of the best compliments I ever received was when another nurse said to me that I was the Pat Flynn of nursing. Pat Flynn influenced me, even though I've never met him in person. Another way to be influenced by them is to read or listen to their audiobooks. One of the things that I noticed about the people who I wanted to be more like, these were people who were getting more done than seemed possible, was that they only let positive stuff into their head. They didn't listen to or watch the news. This has been a game changer for me. So how do you go about changing the 5 people that you spend the most time with? You don't want to just rip people out of your life and add new ones, and I wouldn't expect you to do that. But what you can do is just be more conscious about the people that you're around and how they make you feel. Are they making you a better person or not? There are certain life events that can happen that can have us suddenly changing who we hang around. This is a great time to purposefully make sure that you're hanging around the right people, the 5 people that are going to make you better. For example, when you graduated high school and started college, you got a whole new group of friends, right? Well, the same thing happened to me. I was going through a divorce, changing my job, and becoming an empty nester. That was the perfect time for me to evaluate who I wanted to let into my life, as some relationships just naturally went onto the back burner. As you go through different seasons of your life, you will have opportunities where you will need to get rid of some people and add some people. Make sure the people that you add are the people that you should be adding. In preparation for this podcast episode, I thought it would be fun if I evaluated who I was spending the most time with. I realized I was spending the most time with my partner, both business partners, so we spend a lot of time working together, and life partner, Abby, a friend of mine who also works for me, my good friend who I've had for years, Debbie, members of my Rotary group, and members of my mastermind. These are all people I talk to at least on a weekly basis, most weeks. In evaluating my 5 right now, I'm extremely happy and wouldn't change a thing. Abby is probably who I spend the most time with. He challenges me, he encourages me, and he keeps me on the right track. Dawn was a friend who I love spending time with. We both love to travel, we both love to read, and we both have a passion for helping people. She was a great addition to our team. She keeps me straight and makes sure I'm doing what I need to be doing. Debbie and I have been friends for years. We raised our kids together, we worked together, we've been through the worst times in our lives together, and we've gotten each other through it. Next on my list is my Rotary Club. These are an amazing group of people. The things that they can accomplish are unbelievable. They've been able to bring millions of dollars worth of medical supplies to Mexico. They support schools. They support children in schools by providing scholarships. They provide clean drinking water to families. When the coronavirus first hit the area, and all of a sudden thousands were without jobs, if not tens of thousands, since the local economy is mostly supported by tourism, they banded together and were able to provide thousands of meals for the local people. I am so honored to be able to be around these people on a weekly basis. And finally, my masterminds. These are incredible women that I handpicked to meet with on a weekly basis so that we could pour into each other's lives. Reflecting back, my life has changed so dramatically in the last 6 years, and so have the people that I've hung around. Is it a coincidence? I don't think so. There's another quote that I love. It says, when you're the smartest person in the room, it's time to change rooms. It can be very comforting to be around people who make us feel smart, whether it's coworkers, friends, family, but we have to get uncomfortable. We have to be with people who will challenge us. Okay, let's take a quick minute to look at some tough situations and what can be done. Even your coworkers can be changed. You can change your schedule. You can change the department you work in, and sometimes, if you have to, you can change jobs. Sometimes drastic results require drastic measures. This can also be the situation with your family. While you can't choose your family, you can choose how much time you spend with them and what topics are on and off. A really good book on this is called Boundaries by Henry McCloud. And one last thought. We only have so much time in each day and each week. It's easier to just start adding more time with people that you want to be with, and eventually you'll spend less time with people who you shouldn't be with. I want to end on an upbeat note. So, your homework is to think about one person who you would like to spend more time with. It doesn't have to be an in-person meeting. It doesn't even have to be a live person. For example, let's say you wanted to spend more time with Florence Nightingale. You could read some of her books and manuscripts. Okay, that's a wrap for this week's episode. If you would like to give me a birthday present, the perfect gift would be a rating and review. Ratings are great, but reviews are even better. Let me know what you like about the podcast. Thank you in advance. Until next week, adios from beautiful Puerto Aventuras, Mexico.